All right, now guys, doing today we're about to hop into part two of the reaction to the PBD thing. And first things first, want to make sure you like the video, hit the likes, full screen, scroll just a little bit, like the video, full screen it back up. You feel me? All right, so this is one capitalist versus 20 anti-capitalists, right? But we're looking at this through the frame of God. This video is so you can see, one, the things that God can do in your life, but two, how to frame and see things like this in God's way, right? Acknowledge God in all your ways, what Proverbs says, and love God with all your mind, soul, and body, right? Whatever you do, do it unto the Lord. So this video is an example of how I saw God in something that wasn't necessarily talking about God, but also maybe realize what God can do for me and for anybody, really, unbelievers specifically, because, you know, it's drawing points in. So let's get into it.
Hi,
What's your
I'm
name?
Faye.
Faye?
Yeah,
Good to
nice
meet you.
So how would you define socialism? Because I think you're kind of misunderstanding what anti-capitalist ideals
She just said her name was Faye, and they're popping up her name's Isabel. That's kind of disrespectful, I'm not gonna lie.
look like. I think we are just trying to advocate for basic rights for our people in this country and across the world, of course, but I don't think it's necessarily about equal wealth disparity around the world. For most people that are anti-capitalist, I think it's more about just standard rights that are provided by the government.
Standard rights that are provided by the government.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah. So
Go a little bit deeper. So for you, when the claim here is, if the money in the world were divided
Yeah,
equally,
so
it will
I
return
think-
to the same pockets within 5 years. Do you disagree?
yes.
Tell me why you disagree.
Yeah, so I disagree because I don't even think many people are trying to argue for that.
People are not trying
So,
to
like,
argue
who are
for
you
that.
arguing in this
Yeah,
debate?
what I'm trying
There's
to
like
say-
a very select amount of people that are trying to argue for equal wealth disparity.
Yeah.
Most people are at least trying to at least advocate for wealth and at all for people that don't have access to healthcare right now, that don't have access to a good education right now, that don't have access to their basic needs like food.
Do you think our system right now allows people to stay in those situations long term?
They force them to stay in those situations long term.
Okay, so part of me actually agrees with you, but why do you think they force them to stay in those situations long term?
I think because they are trying to convince the working class that they don't have rights.
I actually don't think that's what it is, although that's fair to your point here. What's the chances that any of you here voted for Donald Trump in 2024? Exactly, right? What is the chances that all of you here can't stand the phrase MAGA, Donald Trump, any of that stuff? Is that a fair assessment? Fair, okay.
Yeah, so it's your
So
point.
think about it this way. So maybe you're right that the Democratic Party that's been earning your vote for a long time wants to keep you there because they'll
They
have
have
your vote
never
for the
earned
rest
my
of your
vote.
life.
They have never earned my
Who
vote.
did you vote for in 2024?
In 24, I voted for the socialist candidate.
Who was that?
Claudia de la Cruz, I believe.
Who did you vote for in 2020?
I was actually not able to vote. I was in a hospital.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes,
Sorry to
because
hear.
of results of capitalism.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I didn't have access to proper health care or even access to a proper job that would sustain me as a disabled person.
Are you comfortable being specific on what happened?
I
You
guess
don't have
so.
to if you're not
I mean,
comfortable
I'm
with it.
also mentally ill, so that was something I had to deal with.
So really quickly, her thing was that she wants wealth distributed fairly. He's saying that wealth will be distributed into the pockets of the same people within 5 years, right? We can see in the top corner. If all the money in the world is divided equally, it will return to the same pockets in 5 years. That's not necessarily the problem we're going to talk about here. We're going to talk about what's going to follow right when I unpause the video. However, what I do want to mention is that in the early church, right, specifically back in Paul's time, right, so right after he got his vision and everything, less than 100 AD, they were living in what was known as a communal society. So not communism, but a communal society, meaning everybody shared pretty much everything. They shared resources, they shared wealth and everything, right? They would be given unto them and they were to distribute it as needed. And this came with problems. There's verses in Acts talking about this is how you're supposed to handle people that aren't helping or aren't pulling their share, right? Because some people were just freeloading in there, and that's not how it's supposed to go. Meaning, not necessarily that everybody should get the same money necessarily, right? I still think there should be some level of work personally, but to this thing in the church, you know, this is kind of what happened. People were sharing their resource, pulling it together, because that's what it looks like to love your neighbor, right? Sharing. And so I don't think that's a horrible idea. Do I think it would be horribly executed? 100%. I don't think it could be properly executed at all. But the idea is not horrible, right? Jesus said, "Verily, I tell you, it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven." So by that logic, you know, it's not necessarily sinful to be rich. If it's going to be easier for a camel to go through a needle than to be rich, I'm not going to take my chances with being rich. But also, what's rich? You know, it's a heart posture thing. How rich are you? Are you giving? Are you helping your community? Are you doing good things with your money? Or is your money just serving to serve you? It's just making you happier, right? But that's a whole different discussion, money and richness and everything. But let's get into this. This is the part that I actually want to talk about.
But I'm mainly mentally ill because I am disabled in a capitalist country.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
Who convinced you that you're mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category of mental illness? Is there one? You know why I asked this question? Let me explain to why I asked this
So
question.
I don't even like the psychological industry. I don't really stand for like Sigmund Freudian politics or
Sure.
anything like that. So if you're
Yeah,
going
I
to
asked-
debate the ethics of psychology,
I'm not. Where I'm going with this is going back to the same thing with if the money were to divide it equally, it'll
Yeah.
end up being worked out within 5 years. My trouble is, in many cases, somebody you and I look up to will say something to us that we choose to believe for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, it could be something where you have ADHD, you're mentally ill, you're poor, you're this, you're
But
that,
why-
and we get to choose to buy into that or not. And if you do,
So you're saying I'm not mentally ill or I'm
I'm
not
not saying
disabled?
you are or you're not. I would challenge it to go a little bit deeper to see if there's anything you can do about it.
So you're asking me about my health. You're asking me about my disability
I'm
and
not.
my.
I will say we are in a market where, stay with me here, there is a market where there's profit to convince you to you have issues to take the medication because they're making money.
Yeah, but I
and
don't
I'm
have
not
access to
supportive
the
of that.
medication. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
Have you been able to go to different doctors and get yourself tested? And
Yeah.
See? You have?
Yes.
And in California?
Yes, but not
And who-
enough.
who
I
paid
can't
for it?
find a specialist.
You can't find
I
a
can't
specialist.
find a specialist
Is there
for who
anyone
I
in your
am.
life that's
I
willing
can't
to pay
find
for a
anyone.
specialist?
Well, they could, or they would if they had
Anybody
money.
in
But
your-
yeah,
Would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialists?
I mean, yeah, sure. Why
I'm
not?
going to have you go see two. Do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go see two specialists. But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may.
No.
You're not.
No.
So
you
simply-
choose as a psychologist.
I
You're
would-
choosing who gets to determine
No,
what my
what
mental
I-
health looks
what I-
like.
what I-
No. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah. So I think. All right. Thanks for
Thank
talking.
you so much.
All right. So, she's mentally ill. She's got genetic connective disorder. I don't know, something about something. Right? She got something she can't help. Right? So she's physically disabled, mentally ill. And because of this, right, she has a job. Can't find a job to sustain her long term, right? But she did have a job. She did see multiple doctors. She and her doctor team, which means she has multiple doctors within her circle. She can't pay for a specialist because she can't pay for it, and the people in her life can't afford to pay for it, right? So this is why she hasn't gotten treatment. This is why she's not healthy. This is why she can't have a job that will sustain her life because of these diagnoses, right? He offers, I will pay for a specialist. Matter of fact, I'll pay for 2 specialists. And then I'll give you free psychiatry, free mental help, free therapy. I'm just going to choose the person. She says, I'll take specialist 1. Cool. I'll take specialist 2. Cool. You're choosing who's gonna treat me mentally. You're going to choose what my mental health outcome looks like. No. Right? And if you can connect dots, you should be able to see where I'm going with this, right? We come to God. God is all things good. God is love. God is joy. God is peace. God is healing. So many wounds. Physical, mental, spiritual, relational. Anything. Any wound. God can heal. Jesus healed blind man, paralyzed men, people with leprosy. He done brought the dead back to life. He himself came back to life. There is nothing. He conquered death. There is nothing he cannot do. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, which talks about endurance, but also if you have faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. How much more can you do by that logic? Right? Therefore, God is PBD in this moment. I have this for you. I have this for you. I have all these things that you need. But all I ask, all that I ask is you give yourself to me. Submit to me, and you will never want again. Drink from the water of life, and you will never thirst again. It's what Jesus said. He just said, 1 specialist, 2 specialists, best health he's gonna buy. All you gotta do is submit. Once he just said it himself. He thinks the system is built on companies that make you see them take medication and perpetually pay them. You're in a cycle of paying different people for different medications to do whatever the frick you got it they want you to do. Right? They treat the causes, they don't treat the, or my bad, they treat the symptoms, they don't treat the causes. They stick you in this loop. Your blood pressure goes up. Here's this to take that reduces your blood pressure, which is actually going to do this to you. Now take this one because it's going to do this to you, and then that's going to do that to you. And now that this that you're taking is doing that, and you got to take another that to heal another this, but the this is coming back and the that's there, so now you got to take another whatchamacallit, and the whatchamacallit's calls him my whatchamahoos it, and then it's just a cycle. He's trying to get around this, right? And I didn't even think about it. I just thought he was like, I know a good psychologist, right? He's probably trying to get you around that, where I can do research-backed practices, get you feeling the best you've ever felt without trying to scam you. He said, I offer you the truth. Pay for your specialist. You just need the truth. That's what God does. I have everything you need, right? I may not come in the form of physical healing, mental healing, spiritual healing, relational healing. But what he will heal is you spiritually. That will come spiritually. You will get that joy. You will get that peace if you submit, if you take the truth that he offers. Right? And I saw this, and I saw this person who hardened their heart, who opened it to this person. Would you take money from a capitalist? Same way they'd say, would you take healing from God? If God said, I can make you whole, God said, I can make you feel better, would you take it? And they'd say, yes. I need you to change. Nope. I heard somebody say that. They said, everybody wants what God has to offer until it realizes it requires them to change, right? The people, the historians, they got no problem with everything Jesus did except the miracles, because that would prove that he done did something special. And they don't like that. Do you like that? Are you willing to change? Submit? Or are you willing to accept the truth and reap the everlasting healing God can offer? I know I am. All right, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.